Welcome the speakers up to the stage with me. Today I'm joined with Dillon Barrie, who's just beside me.
Hello.
Eyve.
Hello.
And Anna Schultz. So on this panel we will be discussing everything DIY for building your artist career. We'll be looking at self-releasing, networking, social media campaigns, running live events and building teams. So just to start things off, if I can ask you guys to give an introduction to yourself and explain what it is that you do and tell us some of your exciting career highlights. Anna, if we could start with yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Anna and I'm the singer in a band called Dead Pony. And what was that, how did I start actually?
Yeah, how you got involved in music?
I kind of got involved in music just from like loving music, I guess, and me and Blair, who's the guitarist in my band, started making music together like maybe 10 years ago, and we've been in like various bands since, but we started Dead Pony probably about 2020, and then since then we've just been like releasing tons of music, touring a bunch. We released our debut album like April last year, which was like a big moment for us. And I guess like a couple of the highlights of my career to date have maybe been, we just played a week-long sold-out tour across the UK, and we sold out our biggest headline to date, which was the QMU in Glasgow, which was like a massive achievement for all of us. And we also got to tour with like some bands that we like love. We're currently on tour with SLIX, who were like one of my favourite bands when I was like 14 years old. And we toured with Twin Atlantic and Kid Capiche and yeah, just a bunch of bands that we love. And we also signed our first ever like proper records deal last year, which is when we released our debut album. So I guess that's been my kind of highlights so far.
Amazing. Eyve?
Hello, my name is Eyve. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, and I've always done music in the church to start with, but professionally I've been doing music for 3 years. And how I got into it, I just always wanted to do music. I didn't know how to take it to the professional level, but because of the community that people have in Glasgow, I was able to meet some people that connected me to other people, and going to conferences and all of that, it really helped me to get a producer. And I go to up to standard, and my manager is Mobile, amazing guy. It's just been an amazing experience. I released my first EP in 2023, and then I did another one in 2024. So I'm just at the start of my career as a musician, and it's been exciting. I have so many. The word again? The highlights. I have so many highlights in my career, but if I had to pick one, it would be performing to support Moonchild. Moonchild is a big artist in South Africa, and I got the chance to go to Newcastle and support her, and to hear like her journey as well in music and what she had to do to be where she is. So yeah, that's it.
Brilliant, thank you. And Dillon?
Hello. My name is Dillon, and I kind of also started playing music in the church. Initially I was a drummer, I still am a drummer, but I was first and foremost, my first instrument was drums, and I kind of gravitated towards that all throughout school, because I was pretty hopeless at school. And then got to 6th year, my music teacher was like, "What are you going to do?" I was like, "I'm not going to uni, I don't care." And then she was like, "Well, will you apply to this place called the Conservatoire?" And I wasn't that keen, but she got me to apply, and then magically got in, thankfully. And then being at RCS has kind of completely shaped who I am as a musician, and really helped me to kind of find what I love to do and have that connection to other great musicians. And so in first year, while I was at RCS, I started this thing called Supersonic in Glasgow, which was initially a weekly music night that there was a venue called the Blue Arrow in Glasgow, which is shut down now, sadly. But I got offered one gig, and it was like the biggest deal in the world to me. And so I made sure all my friends and family came, and then very cleverly made it seem like I was a very popular musician because there was so many people in my gig, but I just knew them all. And in between the songs, I would just chat rubbish and like chat to my friends in the crowds it was a really good night. And then the manager came up to me and he was like, "Hey, do you want to do that every week?" And that was like crazy to me, it blew my mind. So I started this thing called Supersonic Thursdays, which quickly, I think because of the kind of nature of coming out of COVID and the Glasgow jazz and music scene at the time just skyrocketed. And I kind of, from March 2022 to summer to like June, July, sold out every week. And kind of had people standing on the tables, and the queue went past firewater sometimes, which was a victory for me. And then I had that summer, and then started kind of doing bigger shows, and I did collabs with people like Glitch 41, and we sold out More, and yeah, did shows all around Glasgow and some further afield. And then at the start of 2024, I kind of decided to put a lid on Supersonic because I felt like it was getting harder. It was kind of taking more time to put it on regularly, and I kind of wanted to move on to a new project. And so I kind of stopped that, and I decided to start really diving into music production to hopefully be able to kind of make the music that I really wanted to hear that I wasn't quite managing to capture with the live band sound. And so I did that for 2024, was really focusing on production, and then fortunately in October of 2024 last year, I won the Sound of Young Scotland Award at the SAY Awards, which allowed me to have a package to make my debut album, which I'm currently in the last month of production for, so I'm deep in the dungeon, recording next month, and now I'm sat here.
Thank you for that. I suppose then, with the benefit of hindsight, if I were to ask you guys to have a think about advice for artists that are just starting out, of which there's plenty here in the room with us today, what would be the main things that you guys wish that you'd have known when you were at the start of your careers? And sorry, Dillon, can I come back to you?
There you go. Yeah. I think my answer is kind of more personal to me, but it's more that there is no rush whatsoever, as long as you're kind of working on something you love. Because I feel, especially when I was kind of finding myself just coming to uni and amongst all these amazing musicians that I really loved, and seeing people like Liam Shortle, Corto Alto, he's huge now. But you know, when I started to hang out with people like him and all these other amazing musicians, I'd often feel like it was a race against time, and that I kind of was not doing enough for where I was, or comparing myself to other people. But I think definitely from looking at my own journey of where I've got to now, and also some of my heroes all kind of blew up when they were like 30 or 35. And I think there's, as long as you have found what you really love to do, and you're just focusing on that and not on the periphery and other people, then it's going to be fine, and it's going to work out. So yeah, just there's time, chill out, no rush.
Eyve, you found anything similar?
Yes, especially about time, there is no rush, because I'm 27 now, and when I started like my music career, I was so worried that, oh, I'm too old for the industry, how are they gonna like take me seriously, because they prefer people that are much younger and all of that. But that is BS, like that is BS. There's so much time. You could be 40 and still doing techno umti music, and people will love it. But for me, another thing is like having the people around that like know who you are, that support you. Like it could be one person, but you know that person can help you in times when you don't know what to do, because at the start you don't know how many people are going to be like listening to your music, or where to go, or where to find like funding and stuff like that. I would really like stress out on funding, because I know like when I started, I just wanted to use my own money, which I didn't have. So it's really good to look up like what funding is there. And also like contracts. I've lost some friends because I started making I started making music with my friends in their living room. By the time we'd finished like 10 songs, I realized like we didn't have a contract, we didn't have to talk about what we wanted to do with the music, and then it just made the relationship so messed up, and the music never came out because, you know, we just didn't agree. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
I guess my advice would be pretty similar. Like, I feel like you have to be so passionate about the kind of music that you're making or the project that you're working on. And I feel like one thing that we struggled in our career was really trying to make the music that we personally enjoy, the music that we really want to listen to. And I feel like at the start, when me and Blair first started making music 10 years ago, we were making the kind of music that we thought other people wanted to hear from us rather than the music that we loved. And it was really only with, you know, our last album and maybe even the EP before that we really started to like dive into what is the music that Dead Pony loves, and what's the music, what is Dead Pony as an artist. And I feel like if you're not making music that you're so passionate about, then what's the point in doing it? It's miserable. And I also feel like something that I've learned as well is you have to be the driving force behind your project. I would say that as much as it's important to have a whole team around you that you like fully trust, no one cares about your band as much as you care about it. And I feel like if you're not the driving force and if you're not the main catalyst for your success, then you won't get it. Like, don't trust that this person's going to do this for you, and don't take this person's words, you know, in a club at 3 a.m. that they're going to get you a meeting with this guy or this guy. Like, you need to just really, really be the driving force behind your project. And if you want something done, then you most of the time have to go out and do it yourself.
Okay, great. That leads us on to this next question then, that where would you say is the actual best place to start in terms of developing yourself as an artist? Anna, if I could go back to you.
I think that just from personal experience, I've really found it to be beneficial to develop myself as an artist and to develop my band through like collaboration. Me and Blair collaborate on everything that we write together, and we've collaborated a lot with like different producers and songwriters like over the years. I guess when we first started really trying to find our sound, we worked closely with Chris Marshall and Johnny Madden, who used to work out of like Seven West Studios in the town, or in Glasgow. And they really helped us like at the time like refine our sound, and they totally helped us like, you know, production wise, like make our songs sound a way that we couldn't even imagine our songs sounding. And I feel like collaboration is key, because I feel like for an artist, your vision can be quite, you know, specific about how you want a song to sound, or how you want your, you know, album to sound, or how you want your production to be. But I feel like collaborating with other artists and songwriters and producers is like so vital. And I also feel like just like going out and like playing as many gigs as you can is so important. Like, we in the beginning would literally take like every single gig that we got offered, and it's like, you know, so and so's saying, oh, you can't play a Glasgow show, like a month after and a month before. We're like, oh fuck it, we'll just play as many Glasgow shows as we can. And like, you know, I feel like just like getting out and gigging and like really focusing on your performance, and also what you want people to leave the gig and feel or think is like so important. And once you have that nailed, then, you know, you're going to make an impact on people.
Eyve, do you agree?
Yeah, definitely agree. Like, I love collaborations, because like when you're collaborating with someone, they would say something and then you'd be like, oh my god, it brings out like more ideas, rather than when you're by yourself. I am a community girl. I just love the Glasgow community. There is just so much, and it's not just in music. Because I hated techno until I came to Glasgow, because like they have this sense of community. They teach you the ropes, and like once you know someone, they probably have a mutual friend, and if you're looking for, let's say, like a photographer, and because at the start you don't have money to be paying photographers for photo shoots and all of that, it's just making like those small connections that also lead to something greater. And going to conferences. My first one was actually Days, 2022. So Days resonate, all the ones. And also if you can find the free conferences, go for them, because you just never know who you're gonna meet there, what advice is really gonna click for you. Yeah.
Dillon?
Yeah, really great stuff from Eyve and Anna. I think I definitely reiterate what Anna was saying about taking as many gigs as you can. Just because the nature of doing Supersonic being a super regular night meant that I had to write like 5 songs every week that were fully orchestrated out on charts, on sheet music for bands. And so I learned really quickly how to kind of achieve the kind of sound I wanted with specific instruments, and how to kind of draw certain sounds out of certain types of players as well, which was really helpful. And yeah, I think if you can't get the experience like that any other way. You just have to go and play as much as you can, because when you're so used to it, then you can start really paying loads of attention to the tiny things and the ways that you can really just adjust things really specifically to make them more for you. And I'd also say, kind of again going off my last point, a way to make developing yourself as an artist easy is just to find the music, or to write the music or the project that you just love and that you're so passionate about. Because if if you're someone that's thinking about how to develop themselves as an artist and they feel like they're not where they want to be, if you have a project or a song that is half written and you listen to it and you're like, I will die if I don't play this live, or if this doesn't sound the way that I know it can sound in my head, life is meaningless. Which sounds dramatic, but sometimes that is how it feels. Is just that motivation. If you've started writing something, or you hear something, or you have a project in mind and you kind of start it and you go, it's just not an option to not do this, because otherwise I won't be able to sleep. That's a pretty good motivator to kind of go and do it.
Anna, you mentioned about recording your early singles at 7 West Studios. How was your process for releasing them? I think that can often be quite a daunting thing for new bands, trying to, in the DIY approach, trying to release your first singles. How was your approach to that?
Well, before we even started working with Chris and Johnny, we used to just record singles in Blair's bedroom in his mum's old house, and we used to do the artwork ourselves, and Blair would mix and master and produce the songs, and we would upload it to emu bands, and then get it on Spotify and iTunes that way, I guess. But after we started working with Chris and Johnny, we signed our first ever small kind of single deal, and the songs that we recorded with them were put out through a record label called Lab Records, and I guess they kind of put the songs out for us. We still were very involved in the artwork and the process of making music videos and things like that, but the kind of process of actually putting the music out was through them. Also back in the day, I don't know if this is maybe irrelevant because this was literally 10 years ago and times have changed, but we also used to just burn CDs in our own house, on iTunes, and just write on the front Crystal and then the name of the song or whatever. But yeah, I feel in the beginning we definitely had a very DIY approach, because I guess it just makes it more accessible for most people.
Great. Eyve, how was your experience putting out your first singles?
I'm just so glad that I got help in that, because it's a very long experience, able events as well, because they want everything to be ready, all the masters 6 weeks before the release. I feel it might be changing soon to be actually more. So just having that stuff ready, like all the artwork, and if you make a mistake, that means you have to wait another week or another time for them to fix it. So I don't know how I feel about the 6 weeks thing, because it depends with the artist. And now there's TikTok, like people show their music there on TikTok first, and people are already vibing to it. So having social media and like being really present on social media, scheduling the posts, like doing the stories and all of that, it really like helped to push the release. So it's very much DIY, but it also helps to tell your friends, like, don't be scared to like send the emails, the messages, the Instagram DMs, because you never know, not everyone is going to be watching your stories all the time. So what Mobo did for me was like help me to get like all the context of the people that I've worked with in the community, and to just send them as many emails as possible, and to like invite them for a listening party first, so that we have like content, and it shows that people are having fun, people love the music, so that makes people more excited to like listen to it when it finally comes out. So yeah, that was it.
Perfect. And Dillon, your early singles, how was that for you?
Well, I've actually never released a single or signed any deal ever, on purpose, because while I was doing Supersonic, I kind of obviously had it in the back of my mind, but I wanted to wait to make sure I was ready, because it was, you know, I'd make beats and I'd make songs that I'd put on Instagram and stuff, and then 3 months later I'd listen to the ones I made now and the ones I made 3 months ago, and I'd be like, oh, those suck. And as long as I kept doing that in that kind of short time frame, I didn't want to release anything if I was still managing to kind of keep improving quite quickly. But I, as someone who's currently in the process of producing their first album and in the studio next month, yeah, it's good fun, and it's nice to really be able to focus on a body of work and really put everything into it. And I think, yeah, I'll be taking your guys' advice.
I suppose that leads us on to our next question then, that actually uploading the songs, but from a DIY perspective then, using things like social media, trying to get press, PR, and other supporting activities, what kind of advice would you guys give for that side of things, like trying to get creative and using your own DIY approach to social media to actually get the music out there to people? Anna?
I feel like social media is like so important these days when it comes to promoting your band and your music. I used to be so against TikTok. Part of me still is. I used to hate TikTok so much, and I just feel like I was so against like using it to promote my band and my music and whatever projects I was working on. But I feel like it's actually it's a very important tool that that you should use to your advantage. I also feel like music videos are like great if you can make one that's like DIY and like, you know, put it up online. Getting live, like getting someone in to like film your gigs and putting them up online is quite good. But I feel like in terms of like promoting your music, I feel like it's totally changing. Like we recently like released a single, and then we had been like trying to promote it like forever, like on social media, and like we'd get to like our usual followers, and then eventually we were like, do you know what, we should just like make a silly TikTok, put it up, and then like overnight it like went viral and like across TikTok, and we eventually put it up on Reels. It ended up getting like 15 million views, and we gained like 40,000 followers across TikTok and Instagram. And I feel like, you know, if you can get clever with the way that you use TikTok and Instagram Reels to promote your music, that isn't just like you lip syncing to the song, or like you can come up with something that's actually really engaging and like makes people want to watch it, or something that could be like a viral moment, it can totally change the trajectory of your career, and also just like the quickness or like the kind of like the speed at which people discover your music. When we made that TikTok, our monthly listeners went up from like 70,000 to 100,000 within a week. So I feel like, yeah, in the past I've been very against TikTok, but I feel like unfortunately it might be the way forward.
Eyve, you mentioned earlier on about TikTok and how before the songs even out, people can really get on board and get behind it. And is this something that you would try and push to artists out there to, you know, give away parts of the song before it's actually out?
Yes, like parts of the song, little clips. Because on TikTok, when you're even watching, like the average time that people watch, it's like, sometimes it's just like 6 seconds. So just making it very like enticing at the start. I'm not on TikTok anymore because I got so like last year it was just too much happening on TikTok. I was like, I can't handle it anymore. But I'm gonna take your advice. Like it's really good advice. I'm more on Instagram, and what I've noticed when I am watching the reports on Instagram on everything that's been happening during the week, or like which post is getting more attention, it's more when I do something that is unique to me and I actually see what do people like, because like the music, yes, the music is mine, but it's not just about me anymore because I want to share the music with other people. So it's really good to look at all the statistics and to see what can you change, what can you do differently, because on TikTok, I noticed like people were like copying the same thing that one big artist is doing, and it's just like, for how long can you sustain that? And is it even worth it? Like, is it like true to yourself? So also like just having the same video and putting it on like YouTube clips, Instagram and TikTok, it saves you a lot of time, like scheduling it all, like if you're really worried about, oh, how am I going to do all this at the same time? So yeah, I would definitely encourage it, yeah.
Dillon, have you ventured into the void of TikTok?
No.
No.
TikTok is no good for me, but I will have to get into it.
What about, is it maybe Instagram then? How have you found your experience promoting yourself on that?
I kind of did it two ways. Back when I was doing Supersonic, obviously that's a bit of a different kettle of fish because it's not just for one release, it was kind of every week. But one of the main ways that I managed to get it so busy all the time was I just made the most stupid videos I possibly could with people that were kind of slightly big names in the like live groove or jazz music scene. So like people like Liam Shortall or Fergus McCready, or just people that were kind of people would really turn up and see. And then I just made something so stupid that people couldn't not share it, and then it got shared. But on my own, with my own production and music, I kind of have definitely found a lot of help with doing collaborations, and kind of treating them as own little projects and own little single releases, even though it's just a video. But people like, there's an artist called Nushi Nangai, she's in the band Kokoroko, which are quite big, and I just had a song in mind that I'd made and I sent it to her, and then we just had dinner and made a tune, and that got me, at the time, it got me like a few hundred followers, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. But it's just, I think it just shows that, yeah, collaborating with people that you admire that are kind of in your same sphere can help to share with people that will like your stuff, hopefully.
Just to stick on the topic of your Supersonic experience, for artists here in the room that are looking to book and organise their own live shows, what kind of insight could you give to them? Kind of looking at things like your personal experiences, and maybe just to touch on the financial elements of running your own show and who you need to book, who you need to pay, kind of budgets and things like that.
Well, at the start, I definitely didn't have a budget, but I should have. And I think the thing that definitely saved me, that's probably a good piece of advice, was working with friends that will cut you the slack that you need in times of trouble. Because there was, most of the time, everything was fine and it was busy and I could pay everyone. And then when it gets to like, when it gets to the time where you accidentally book on like a half-term holiday or sometime when there's just no one around, and then you realize, oh, I have to pay the door person, I have to pay the photographer, I have to pay like the venue fee, all before paying yourself, which probably won't happen, something like that. But yeah, working with friends that will give you slack and give you the benefit of the doubt is, especially when you're just starting out, is definitely a good way to help you kind of learn the ropes, so that when you do kind of get used to it and you know the type of promotion that works for the audience that you want to attract, or you know kind of the way that the type of shows that your project will sell well and that it'll be a success, then you know how to kind of make the most out of that.
Eyve, how's your experience been in terms of trying to get your foot in the door with live shows and get a nice run of shows under your belt?
Personally, for me, like I've only been able to put up one live show, like actually selling tickets myself once. I didn't enjoy that part of doing it because I don't think I did it right. I didn't realize like you need the money up front, because like sometimes you're not going to sell all the tickets that you think you're going to sell, and there's like all these people that need to get paid. The advice that I got was apply for funding. PRS, Creative Scotland, let them know what you want to do, because like when you're applying for funding and you already have people that you want to work with, you have like a goal that you're ready, and they know like you've figured out the place that you want to do the event and all of that. It really does help. But also like putting yourself out there, like at the start doing free gigs, it's okay, but there comes a time where you're like, okay, no. And people will reach out to you, people will see you perform, and eventually the money will come. But it's really not about that if you're passionate about the music first. And I would say be patient with it, even if like, because for my show I wanted to sell like 80 tickets, I ended up selling like 40. And I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God, like this is really bad. But like my manager was like encouraging me, this is really good because you're just starting. Be patient, the people will come, and just put on a show regardless. Even if it's one person in the room, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Anna?
I feel like at the start, when we first started playing gigs, we would put on like a headline show in like, Slazy's or the 13th Note, RIP, and we would like hire it out for like 80 quid or whatever, and, sell tickets for 8 quid, and if we got 100 people there, like we could afford to like pay our support bands and get a photographer or whatever. But I feel like at the beginning of your career, it's good to have a very DIY approach to it, and don't look at gigs as a way to like make money or anything like that, because you probably won't in the beginning. But I feel like the more your band progresses and the more people that you have coming to your shows, the more or the easier it is to put on gigs and like bigger venues and to like promote your bands that way. One thing I will say is it's really important from the very beginning of your career to like create a positive relationship with just like local promoters, whether that's like in Glasgow or Edinburgh or like just across Scotland. For our entire career, we've worked pretty closely with DF, and they would give us gigs in King Tut's, and then okay, well this band is coming and they're playing a gig in the garage, do you guys want to support them? And I just feel like having a good relationship with local promoters is only going to help your band advance, because it's just an opportunity to get more gigs, and it doesn't matter what promoter it is. It could be PCL, it could be 432, it could be anyone, but I think that having a good relationship with promoters locally and also kind of nationally across the UK is like such an important part of like playing gigs. And also I think eventually you'll get to a point where you'll be thinking about getting an agent on board who take the pressure off the bands putting on their own gigs and booking their own shows, and they will put on gigs for you and negotiate fees and plan tour routes and etc. So it just makes it a lot easier when you've got like someone there essentially that's going to do that job for you.
Aside from promoters then, in terms of bands that are looking to kind of grow their network and build up their contacts when they're just starting off, what kind of things would you suggest that they need to look out for? Because it can be really important to have, as you mentioned, a good network around you that you can help support each other.
I think your team is so important, and I think that like in the beginning you shouldn't be, trying to get everyone all at once. You have to be very particular about who you get into your team. I would say that like the very, very beginning stages, like I said, you should start to make good relationships with promoters and also with like BBC Introducing. We got a lot of support with BBC Introducing, like when we first started out, and we still do. And I feel like creating good relationships with these kind of people is just like a great way to like, you know, get opportunities for playing gigs or get yourself on the radio, things like that. I also feel like eventually you'll get to the point where you might need to get a manager, an agent, press people, radio pluggers, quite important as well. But I also feel like there's a lot of this that you can totally do, just like DIY. If you've got the time and the knowledge to like do it yourself, you totally can. For a long, long time in our career, we did a lot of it ourselves, and we still do a lot of it ourselves. But yeah, I feel like the first things that you should be thinking about is local promoters, getting a good relationship with the local radio, and then maybe you could start thinking about managers, and even labels. Labels can be important if you're thinking about releasing music, because we all know how expensive it is to like record and release music and tour. So if you can get a label that's going to at least help with like a small kind of amount of that like financial burden, then that's like always a great thing. But I don't think that you have to like create a solid team so quickly. I think that you can build that up over the course of like a couple of years.
Eyve, how's your experience been?
I feel like you've said you've said all the stuff and more actually. I'm learning a lot from everyone here. I guess like because for me I haven't been able to like put like that many like live events out for myself, so I don't really have advice.
Yeah, how about just in kind of networking in general?
Community. I'm a community girl. I keep saying this like. Because the first time that I realized that, okay, I want to take music seriously, I went to Sound Lab, and they support 16 to 25 and even further than that, like just depending on what you want to do. So from Sound Lab, they connected me to Music Broad. Music Broad, you can learn the like for free. You just like, it's like a instrument library. They have one here in Edinburgh actually, and in Glasgow as well. And that's how I was like, okay, I like producing as well. So I started to like learn all these things. And through that, they connected me to a mentor. And from there, the mentor like connected me to other people. So it's just like these really small connections that just like add up in the end. And I would say, just be patient. I was so impatient when I started. I was like, I want to have like this many people following me. I was just naive, and it's if things are going slow. Like you said, you've been working on music for 10 years. That's a long time. So yeah, just be patient and just go with it. And yeah.
Dillon, do you have a similar input?
I feel like I would talk more from the live music perspective, just because that's kind of what I developed in and came up in. But I initially got super overwhelmed by going to these live music events when there was loads of kind of groove night events on, like Glitch 41 and Scratch, and when there was Supersonics on. I'd really go in with the mindset that, oh, I'm gonna do great networking, I'm gonna be really likable to everyone, and I'm gonna come out being best friends with all of my heroes. And then I met these guys, and they were so nice and normal, and I just got so overwhelmed by kind of this misunderstanding of what I kind of had to be like and what I had to do, and feeling that my special persona that I was putting forward wasn't working. It was really confusing. But I think just learning that, kind of going back to a previous point, if you are just confident that you've found something that you love to do, that's all you need to do. If you have something that you love and you can just be relaxed about it, and you see the whether it's promoters or that industry people of that side, or other musicians that you'd maybe like to play with, or that you just really admire, just being relaxed and knowing that you don't have to be some special star. You can just be someone that is working on something that they love, which is enough for everyone. Like, that is who people want to work with. They don't care about how crazy and cool and special you are. They care if they like your stuff, and then you're just nice and pleasant and friendly. That's all it takes. And I feel that's a much nicer way to kind of make friends and build contacts and kind of be around in the music scene than feeling like you have to kind of be some big person making a big splash or whatever.
Brilliant. And on that note, that concludes the questions that I have for you guys. If anyone in the audience has any questions they'd like to ask, we've got a couple of minutes to encourage that.
So my question to you guys is, do you have day jobs? And if you do, or have had in the past, how have you managed the balance between that and your music careers?
Me and the boys in my band all still work day jobs. We have about 40 million part-time jobs that we do when we're not on tour, and I have to say it's really, really difficult to balance being on tour essentially full-time and also working jobs. The amount of jobs that I have been sacked from on the spot because I didn't show up for 6 weeks because I was away touring or whatever, it's like, you know, it's really difficult. I think that for us, we're kind of lucky in the fact that at the moment we work in jobs where they're willing to like give us unpaid time off if we need to, but then it's that kind of like financial aspect of like, okay, you're going on a European tour for 6 weeks, you're also not like getting paid from your job for 6 weeks, you're maybe getting PDs like from, you know, the band or whatever, which is like £15 a day, so it is really difficult in the beginning stages, and I wish that I had an answer on how you can make that easier. It's just unfortunate that touring is incredibly expensive, and if you don't have a big label that's giving you a large advance or that are paying for your touring, etc., it is really difficult. But I feel like you need to you need to figure out exactly what your priorities are, and obviously making money, paying your bills, paying your mortgage, you know, eating food is your priority. But I feel like you can also really look at the opportunities that you're getting given, and of course I'm saying play every gig that you can. If it's going to cost you £5,000 to go over to Germany and it's going to take you 4 days to get there, and you're going to be you're going to be away and not working, maybe it's kind of like weighing up the kind of like pros and cons of like that specific event. But I feel like we're still going to be working day jobs for like the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think there was one more in the front.
So I've just got a question. I was wondering, like, how you best deal with sort of rejection in terms of, like, say, opportunities, applications, things that, you know, managing your own expectations, dealing with, you know, maybe things not going exactly how you planned, and having to sort of reroute your ideas and your journey because of that.
I have had literally 100 ideas that didn't work, and I feel there's always phases where you try maybe one thing, or you try 100 things and just nothing works. And I think especially coming to uni and realizing, oh, maybe being a good drummer in Pitlochry is not the same as being a good drummer in Glasgow, and realizing no one cares who I am, and you know, there's so many other amazing drummers. I think just getting up and going again, and just kind of, yeah, seeing where you started and the progress that you've made, and just getting yourself hyped up and just going again. Because if you can see that you've made like good progress here from, you know, if you look at yourself at the start when you had no connection to anything, to where you are now, you just do that again, because you've done it before, and you just keep going, don't worry about the rejections.
Anything to add?
I just wanted to say, like, rejection doesn't mean that you failed. That means like you're one of the brave ones. Like last year, I put out like about 10 like funding applications, and I only heard back from 3 of them. But I was so happy that like, whoa, I heard back. So like, just keep trying. It's worth it. It just means you're brave.
I think it's exactly what you said. It's managing your expectations. You know, I think as musicians we all like to think that we're the best things and fucking, you know, and I feel like it is just about realising that you're only as good as, or you can only be as successful as the opportunities that you have. And I feel like if you allow rejection to alter your mindset, then you're never going to be successful. Like, I feel like you have to just, like you said, like, take things on the chin and move forward with, you know, your life and reapply. Like, if you get rejected, reapply. If you pitched for some big tour and you didn't get it, there's always going to be another band going on tour that you can pitch to go on tour with them. Like, you're not going to get 100% of the opportunities that you apply for. No one does. But just keep going, you'll get one of them, and that could be the one that, like, changes your career.
Okay, I think that rounds us up there. We've had some amazing insights from the speakers beside me. If we could give them all a round of applause.